My duty does not end. Even in death, I still serve. And listen to the podcast, Chaos Divided, with Nurgle Snurgle and Blushing Noise Marine. In the name of the Emperor, our undying Lord, I command you to listen and enjoy.
Welcome to Chaos Divided, your weekly dose of wholesome hammer. If you're a fan of what we do, we hope you'll subscribe and follow us along. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can find us on patreon.com/Chaos Divided 40k. I'm joined by Blood God this week. Nurgle Snurgle is taking a bit of a hiatus vacation at the moment, but very happy to have you in the co-host seat.
Yes, hello everybody. Pleasure to be here. This time in a bit of a different seat. It's kind of different. I like it.
Is it more comfortable?
It's about the same.
About the same. Okay.
The view is different. I'm looking at a screen instead of looking over at my models while I paint them. So this is quite nice. I'm enjoying it. Yes.
Well, we're very happy to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're talking this week about the man with the plan himself. The plan to kill the master of mankind.
The big
Horus
boss.
Lupercal.
Lupercal himself. And the quote for today, let me see here. I can't see it on the screen, so I'm just going to go by memory. I never wanted this. How I wish that you could have been here with me. Rebute, Sanguinius, Dorn. With any of you beside me, I could have won this war. But here, I surround myself with monsters. But I must do what must be done. Horus Lupercal.
That's a good one.
That's a little. I think he was saying that to the skull of Ferrus Manus in his private chamber, which is a little bit questionable to his sanity now that I'm thinking about it. But
Did Fulgrim give it to him?
I think it was either Fulgrim or it may have been just the Emperor's Children or one of the other legionaries, because when Ferrus Manus was killed, all of the legionaries tore apart his body and took pieces and bits and trophies. I can only assume that Fulgrim took the head and most likely did present it to Horus.
Now this begs the question, before we get too far into Horus, Rebute, Sanguinius, and Dorn fall to chaos. How do they fall to chaos?
Ooh, Rebute would be chaos undivided. I think Dorn would also
be Tzeentch though. Plans within plans.
I think it could be plans within plans, but Rebute likes assuredness and certainty, whereas Tzeentch likes to have all these eventualities. He would be an undivided. Dorn, I think, would be undivided. Sanguinius is definitely going to be Khorne all the way. Khorne has had a hard-on for him for I don't even know how long. Still has a hard-on for him. I've actually seen some really amazing.
The Blood Angels aren't already dedicated to Khorne.
There's probably a couple of them out there that are already worshipping and they just don't even realize it.
There's actually some. The Death Company sometimes just find their hands a little more empowered, a little extra glow around the gauntlets, and they're just a
little more strong. Why do we have sharp fangs now? Don't worry about that. You look like Horus. All the Death Companies look like Horus. What's happening? It's like Inception. Oh, that'd be funny. I would love that.
If Dorn wasn't such a If Dorn wasn't so Dorny, I could also see him falling to Nurgle.
Yeah,
if he could get the stick out of his butt, I could see him falling to Nurgle.
Yeah, I can see that too. Being tough, resilient, strong, bastions, fortifications, all that kind of deal.
But even the we've talked about it earlier on. Dorn, before him and Sigismund break up, Dorn does have some attributes of care and concern and almost fatherly concern.
He does. He definitely does. But he also has a very hard line when it comes to loyalty, honor, duty, all those things. Very clearly with Sigismund. Sigismund broke his, I believe it was his oath or his vow or something, and that drove Dorn to tell him, like, I'm not your father. You are not my son, and the Legion will never know your shame. You will not speak to anybody about this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If he was like a little warmer, I could see almost that like grandfather Nurgle kind of.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about like not having less of the stick in his butt. But we're not here to talk about those guys. We're here to talk about
not at all.
The Warmaster.
One last side note before we go on. There is a person on Instagram that has put a bunch of alternate pictures out there of the changing of both the factions, the good to evil and the evil to good. I would check them out. I can't remember their name, but
it's Dorny and Heresy is I think what it's called.
Yes, they are beautiful. Beautiful.
Because I think Dorn takes the place of Horus.
Yeah. No, the lion. The lion does.
Oh, the lion does. Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense.
Anyway, Horus Lupercal, Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, the Sons of Horus, and then Shame of the Black Legion. Where do we begin?
I mean, the Black Legion isn't entirely Sons of Horus.
And not entirely, but it's definitely the Shame.
Majority.
Even Abaddon said, we paint our armor in black for the shame of our father's sins, and we trim ourselves with gold because we are reborn. That's why they say, from shame and shadow recast, in black and gold reborn.
You're kind of selling the Black Legion over here. I didn't realize they were that cool. I thought they were just like Abaddon's nerds.
I really do like the Black Legion. Besides the World Leaders, they were the second Legion that I started to really follow, and actually with the story fell in love with what they were. Even Abaddon himself, even Horus. Actually, for me, reading the Horus Heresy, it was really tragic seeing a character that I really, really liked and admired fall so far, and you can still see like glimpses of the old Horus throughout the entire series.
Which is really one thing they do really well. Is they make Horus likable.
Yeah, he's even though he's a monster, he's still human. It's not till the very end that he kind of loses that humanity.
But even like in the very beginning of the Horus Heresy, as you're reading those first few books, you like Horus.
I love.
Like Horus is like the best boss.
Yeah, best boss. He's your best friend. He's your dad. He's every person that's close to you. It's like the first words he ever says in it is Loken looks up. He's like, Lupercal. He's like, Loken, please, not so formal. It's just like, he's so chill. Like, man. Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
It's true, but I think that's what like feeds into, I know being into Warhammer before Horus Heresy was a thing. Horus is this like mythical character, and then you like start reading these books and you're like, yeah. Oh, he's just like a cool guy. He's like, someone you want to like kick back and have a beer with. Like he's like,
yeah. And that's what his power was. Horus was the ultimate diplomat. Didn't matter who you were, didn't matter what walk you came from, you just liked him. And he was able to let your guard down and captivate the entire room and be the center of attention, but also have them all love him. Instantly. Another favorite part of the Horus Heresy is scene where they're all gathering together for Horus to give an announcement. He walks into the room unceremoniously, and it describes him as taking a hopping leap onto the dais, spreading his arms wide with everyone bowing, and says, friends, honor is given, up you get, come on. No one need bow here. I need none of you to bow for me. I should bow to you. And he bends the knee to everybody. Like, that says a lot. Look at who he is, what he's done. And he's telling, no. You don't bow to me. I bow to you. Like that. How do you not love a guy like that?
It's true. And it's like, as you're reading that, you're like, he's going to do bad things.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like even when he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
With the anathema.
The anathema blade.
Yeah, and you're like, you know, he's going through these like troubles and and I remember thinking back at the time and kind of like you're rooting for him. You're like, hey, you can get through this, Horus. Even though you know he doesn't. You like know it, but you want him to.
And he, like with Erebus pretending to be Sejanus, and what was it, Sejanus? Yeah, his favorite son Sejanus, revealing that he was Erebus, saying, I'm showing you the truth, and then Magnus shows up and shows him to be a false pretense, that he's wearing a disguise, that no, he's lying to you. And even with all of those things happening, everything that was shown to him, you're rooting for Horus. You was like, don't fall for Erebus's lies. You can do this. And you know he's still going to do it. Right? It's horrible.
And also, how many times does Magnus show up towards someone and then make things worse? It happens too many times.
Yeah, I think it happens at least like 3 different times for sure.
Yeah.
Canonically. He shows up at like to Horus to be like, no, you can't do this. Don't do this. Horus is like, why are you using magic powers, Magnus? He said, come on. Okay, I'm gonna go tell Dad. Dad, guess what Horus is doing? Magnus! Oh.
Magnus never learns.
No. Even when he decides, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna say a word. I'm gonna hide information. Okay, shield up around my planet. Don't tell my sons anything. Dad, why are the wolves attacking us? Just Magnus made every bad decision, from the breaking of that little serpent's neck, who was actually Tzeentch in disguise, up until the point where he said yes. He's Icarus, flew too close to the sun, thought he could, yeah. Anyway.
I mean, Armin does the same thing, so they're
they
just
all
like
do.
He's in a pod.
But you know who doesn't do that? Horus.
Horus does not.
Out of all of them, Horus that's why he was chosen as the Warmaster. He was the best. Even Sanguinius, when some of the other Primarchs said it should have been Sanguinius, he even said, no, even I, with my golden visage and my angel-like wings, I would still not have the love and admiration that man would have.
Well, I think even like Gulliman and Dorn were known to like they liked him and were chummy with him, and they weren't chummy with anyone.
No, not at all. And not to mention, Horus was able to diplomatically exploit everybody's wants and needs to turn half of the entire empire against his dad. At any point in time,
the Emperor did a lot of that work himself.
He did. The Emperor put everything in place, but Horus exploited it. If Horus had not gone to the right people and said the right things, it could have gone a very different way. But he knew exactly how to play everybody. He knew exactly how to be. He's a master. Horus is an ultimate master manipulator. It's one of his skills. He has this his power is very, very unique when it comes to the other Primarchs. Being able to be loved and admired that much at a whim. One of the things that was said was that to look upon Horus, you'd actually have a hard time focusing on anything else in the room besides the splendor and glory of this being, this demigod, this individual in front of you. Kirill Sindeman even had a hard time in the crowds taking his eyes off Horus long enough to notice that Erebus and Abaddon had shooken hands and exchanged a medal. He only caught it barely, but he was so captivated by Horus. It's weird. He almost has the qualities of all the Primarchs combined into one individual. He was the perfect individual.
Well, I think the Emperor has the ability to control how he's perceived.
100%.
And I think that's what Horus has. Because it all ties back to an ability of the Emperor, and I think
yes,
Horus has the ability to, not to the extent of the Emperor, because the Emperor can appear as anyone, and Horus
he could change his shape. But whatever aura Horus is giving off is allowing people to almost mold and conform to liking him in a way. It makes them... Well, the Emperor can turn into any shape and form that he wants to. it's a like you're saying, it's a very close version of the Emperor's power, but it makes people like him. Like D&D, he's like the ultimate bard. As he walks into a room, people love him. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to be there. That's dangerous. When you really think about it, out of all the Primarch abilities, that is actually very, very dangerous. Because history has always said, people that will, like, if people fear you, all they will do is search to stab you in the back and dethrone you. But if people love you, they're willing to die for you. That's power. That's true power. And he had how many thousands of people willing to die for his cause?
Millions.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even I think he had one of the lower uncompliant rates.
Yep. He never had any of them. He never had it. He always had he had the most compliant planets. He had very few planets that had to be destroyed. And that's why I think it worked in the favor of the traitors to set him up on Davin, because what was it? Not Mavin Bitterspear. Kirill Sinderman was having a conversation with Loken, and they were talking about Erebus and what his intentions were with the Warmaster. And he even said Erebus's intentions were to set the Warmaster off and have him not thinking clearly. And Loken almost took offense to that. It's like, are you saying the Warmaster's not thinking clearly? It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Listen to me. What I'm saying is, he used the Warmaster's pride against him. You have made sure that every single planet has been compliant with you for the entire crusade, and he's now telling you in the middle of a bunch of people out in the open that the planet is not compliant, and then right afterwards tells you, let's go talk about this in private. Yet he just broached this really touchy subject in front of hundreds of people. He was trying to set the Warmaster off for some reason, and it appears to me that it worked. And before they could finish the conversation, Abaddon walked in and broke that whole thing up. So he may have a power, but Horus is not immune, which they exploited his weakness, his pride. Horus's pride was his ultimate downfall. Being the first son, being the first one found, being the one who was with the Emperor the longest, the one who had the closest relationship with him, the one who was actually, besides any of them, actually treated like a son. Like, a lot of them can say, yeah, he was our dad, but I think Horus is the only one who can really say the Emperor was my father.
Well, there's on Ulanor, I think the two of them at parts fought side by side.
They did.
So like
the
Horus
Emperor's
was fighting with his legion, and the Emperor wasn't fighting with Custodes. It was the two of them just like cutting huge swaths through the orcs together.
Yep. I think he was even like, Horus had saved the Emperor a couple times, just as the Emperor had saved him from being killed by something. Like, those two fought back to back, side by side, like father and son. He didn't do that with anybody else.
No.
Yeah, none of them.
So
it's
yeah, he wasn't just the favored son. He was like,
he was a son,
treated as a son.
Yeah, I think if the Emperor's dreams and desires had come to a reality, I like to believe that there would have been some form of a massacre. And unfortunately, all of your brothers would have been killed, Horus. Magnus survived, but he's wounded. And he's now going to have to sit on the Golden Throne forever. We'll feed him souls to make sure that he stays alive, but that is his future now. I'm going to go into the Webway to find a new place for humanity to live, and you need to lead the Imperium while I'm gone. I guarantee that was the original plan. At least I feel that makes the most sense, because he wiped out the Thunder Warriors. It would make sense that when all the battles are done, he would wipe out the Space Marines, keep the one that was the best one, make him the leader of humanity, while he moves on to the next stage of his plans.
Well, there's a few of them that are like, Gulliman is just very useful.
Could be useful.
Like, just as like a leader of your administration. Like, every government needs an administration wing.
I do believe that, but I also believe that with the way the Emperor taught them and the fact that the Emperor was dealing with Xenos technology, if they ever found out, there was a chance that some of the Primarchs could even say, like, the Emperor's been telling us that Xenos is bad, and he's using Xenos technology. Something's wrong here.
True. I mean, that is part of what convinces Horus.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Emperor was a liar. He shouldn't have lied. He should have just been upfront with them the entire time, and all this stuff wouldn't have happened. But we digress, because that's what brought Horus to that, was the fact that, yeah, he did actually think he was the best. Why wouldn't he think he was the best? He's number one son. And the enemy used that against him to let his guard down and put him in a situation where Horus could fall. And even after being the most amazing diplomat and amazing leader and friend and just all around really good guy, to have such a fall. The last thing he does that's actually really good and kind is he arrives on Davin, and I believe he meets one of the commanding officers there. Is it Davin? Or maybe I'm mistaken. Never mind, it's not Davin. It's the planet where they met the Interrex right before they had the battle with the Megarachnids on Murder.
Isn't Davin's where he's brought after he's stabbed.
He arrives on Davin, then he goes to Davin's moon, and they bring him back to Davin to the Temple of the Serpent where they perform the ritual, which was a setup. That was like the entire thing was set. The temple was already chaotic and worshipping Slanesh.
Well, any snake temple is usually Slanesh. That's just
exactly
just a pro tip right there.
But with him during the Interact War, the last thing that Horus did that I found that was really nice was when he disembarked from his ship. The first thing that happened was the regular warriors left, and then as they were all getting ready to go into their proceedings, the captain was like, so what's going on? And suddenly, 10 battle captains of the Lunar Wolves, now in the colors of the Sons of Horus, all in full battle warplate, exited the embarkation deck, and stood in front of the lieutenant, or the captain of the they're not Imperial Guard right now, they were called the Solar Auxilia, I believe, in the 31st millennia.
Well, if they were, no, it was the army, the Imperial Army, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had a special name. I feel like it was the Solar something, and then later on they became the Imperial Guard after things went to hell.
Yeah, because they were attached to the legions, like, directly.
Yes, they were, like, fully attached to legions, wore their colors and everything.
Yeah.
So they show up, and he's like, so will you be... And he goes, nope, we're not done yet. This is Abaddon. And he says, all right, men. They all get into rank file. They remove their helmets. They raise their new golden bolters. And Horus disembarks from the Thunderhawk gunship. And everybody immediately bows except for this captain. He walks over, he looks at the man, and he goes, sir, will you not bow to me? And he just looks at him and goes, I'm sorry, I think I've completely forgotten how to. And then Horus says, then allow me to show you. He steps back and he bends the knee to this captain. And then all 10 of his captains bend the knee as well. It was like the last diplomatic, really smart thing he did before everything started to go down, how he maneuvered that entire scenario on Murder. Did you ever read that whole section?
Yep.
I loved it.
A long time ago.
I loved the dressing down he gave all those captains, but he used the Monocle to do it and still came out looking like the good guy.
But that's part of it. Yeah, his like when you compare him to a D&D bard, like he's like a 30 charisma, like super bard. He's like a non-playable character level, like.
Yeah, he's a non-player character bard, level 20, who also lives at the gym with like 12 barbarians that follow him around daily. And the best part is he doesn't even have to fight. He just gets swole while the barbarians do it for him. That was my favorite quote that the what was it? Horus Axaman said to Gavio Loken after the whole dressing down was done. He said that entire thing, he wanted those lieutenants to be like a strip torn out of them, like hard. He wanted them to have a verbal beating. And we gave it to him because we're the Monoval. We act as his war dogs. And then Gavio goes, we bark so Horus doesn't have to. Exactly. We look like the assholes. He looks like the diplomatic person solving everything. They get dressed down exactly the way he wants, but he still comes out looking like the freaking king.
Yeah.
It was glorious. I was like, that's so slick. I love that. That's amazing.
To go on a tangent, did you see the Horus Axaman model they're coming out with?
I want it. I don't know why. I hate Horus Axaman, but I want it.
Right, but the shield and everything.
The shield, the face, the whole where he had the face carved off by that. I think it was either a white scar or an iron hand dude, but yeah, it's like, oh man, wow, it looks so nice.
Right.
And his helmet, I love the helmet, the old school Tusk helmet. I was like, that's amazing. I hate him, but I still want it really, really bad.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. That is one thing the Horus Heresy has is like some of these. Like, even if you don't like the character, the models themselves are even I love that he also has he actually has a gladius. Like it's like a power gladius, but he actually has like a short sword. Yeah. And I feel like so rarely. Yeah, that is what like that they are very much like the Sons of Horus especially were very much like Roman legionnaire-esque.
Very much so. They're the mirror image of they are the mirror image of the Ultramarines. They're supposed to be, like, even in the lore now, the Black Legion are the Ultramarines. They're good at everything, but not good at all of it. They can pretty much do a bunch of stuff. So in the Horus Heresy, they were just, like, the better Ultramarines. But then when they fell, Ultramarines took center stage.
Well, you know, the Smurfs have to get their time all the time.
I just wish they were a different color.
It wouldn't matter. The Ultramarines are just such a lame concept.
It's just when I hear Ultra, I don't know why, but I think white. I don't think blue. I think red and white. I don't think blue.
So one of the things that I always... where we live, there's a chain of gas stations called Ultramar, and every time I go to gas from one of them, I'm just like the 500 words of Macrog.
The 500 stations of fueling an Ultramar.
Like, I will get my gas from Ultramar.
Yes. I'm going to McCrag for some oil. You mean Cole Harbor? Yes.
Just reminds me every time. But yeah, no, I think like what we've been talking about with Horus, the big thing about him is that you root for him. You like want this guy to not fall, and that every time you kind of see him pushed, and I think they do a very good job of kind of giving you the behind the curtain peek of like who is pushing him, what's being done, and a lot of the motivations that are kind of like manipulating him. Because yes, his pride is definitely one of his big downfalls.
Yeah, there is a certain point where that it turns. He's no longer like, I think it was I think it's this book, The Lost and the Damned, where I think it is, I keep mixing them up. I want to say Erebus, but it's not Erebus. It's Lorgar. Lorgar is having doubts on Horus, and he thinks that he is actually supposed to be the true champion of chaos, and he's actually plotting to overthrow Horus just before the campaign begins. He gets one of his men to bind Fulgrim to his will, to use Fulgrim to fight against Horus. And in this book, this is when I realized that Horus is gone. This is something else. It's no longer... He's completely changed. He needs nobody anymore. He is now thriving off the powers of chaos, and he is the beast that they have created. Although the last thing I think they did was maybe a little bit of dignity to Lorgar was when Lorgar was setting all this up. Horus knew. Horus knew what he was doing. That's why when they all arrived on that planet, after they'd collected Angron, collected Fulgrim, brought them back into the fold to do the final push against against the palace, Horus exited his ship, walked up to Fulgrim. Why I have so many names? Yes, thank you, Lorgar. Walked up to Lorgar and smashed him underneath the chin with that big old world breaker mace and sent him flying like 20 feet in the air, slamming into the ground. He walks over to him and says, "I'll give you the opportunity that our father never gave you." Points to his mace and tells him to pick it up. Go ahead. Pick it up. When he doesn't do it, he banishes him from the whole siege and says, "If I ever see you again, I will kill you. Leave my presence now."
Lorgar sucks so much.
He does. He's out of all the characters, I hate him the most. He is a whiny, baby, sniveling little man who doesn't know what he really wants and is he's a flip-flop mother beeper. He's just awful.
Well, even you talk about his flip-flop from being oh, maybe I should be the one who's running this whole chaos uprising. He flip-flopped from being oh, maybe chaos is bad. Because before that point, he's just maybe we're the bad guys and the ones doing the wrong thing, and has a whole existential crisis about that. And
in the middle of a battle.
Yes, you're fighting Rabute Gulliman, and you're just am I the villain? You're
am I the villain in this situation?
You're
what's happening?
So deep into this, you have messed up so much.
Didn't he stride into battle going to die, expecting to die because he was ashamed? Just ashamed of what was happening. He's I'm watching my brothers kill each other. What have I done? And
but after he ascends Angron to a demon Primarch,
and he's maybe this isn't such a bad thing after all.
It's what are you? It's you've ruined Angron's life. And then, you go and fight this giant battle, and then you're literally halfway through, he's just kind of maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
His whole character has been expectation, upset, and depression. Expectation, upset, and depression. You have, my daddy's a god. My daddy's not a god. I need to find some gods. I found some gods. The gods are evil. Well, maybe the gods aren't that bad after all. Maybe I am the gods champion. I'm not the gods champion.
Right.
That literally is his entire story. And now he's sitting in a room, probably floating 3 feet off the ground with the door sealed, not because he's meditating, because he's floating over the sea of tears that he's been crying for the past 10,000 years that he wasn't the Chaos favorite.
And then in doing so is also still not the Chaos favorite.
Yeah. Even though, yes, he's a demon now, still not the favorite. But I wonder if he does know that the whole plan for Horus was for the Chaos Gods to betray him, because that would be the most ironic if they just haven't told him that at all, and they're just ha ha ha, he still thinks that he was our favorite. What an idiot.
It's true, because they abandoned him at the absolute end.
I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense either in both ways. One, it would make sense that he's in that room for depression reasons. It would also make sense that he's in that room because he's trying to find the answer of why I wasn't chosen and what do I need to do to become the ultimate champion of chaos. Either or, the gods pretty much have an ultimate servant that they can just use and do whatever they want with right now.
Except he doesn't do anything ever. Magnus stews and is less moody than Lorgar.
I do wonder, what Lorgar, if he does anything at all. Does he have communication with his lieutenants? Does he have communication?
I don't think so. I think
at all.
that short story where Korax like finds his realm, like his little slice of like the Chaos Realm, and invades it and like torments Lorgar. Like I think there's part of it where like his legion hasn't seen him in like thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like he only comes out because like Korax is like going to destroy him. When you're weaker than Corvus Corax, you also have done something wrong.
Yeah, and Corvus was the one who almost killed him too.
Yeah,
he came the closest until until Kurz intervened.
And like Korax, like we haven't even talked about him that much before, but he is also like a whiny, insecure little man. Child.
Just, all you gotta do to sum him up is his quote when he decided to leave his legion. Nevermore. They were probably happy to see him go. They probably found that note with the words nevermore and just hucked that in the bin. I was like, finally, that moody bitch is gone.
Well, he didn't even like his legion. He liked like a few of them. There was like the group of prisoners that he liked, and then he hated the rest of them.
Yep.
Often, like, did you read Korax? Like the book?
I think I listened to it once, but I've only listened. Wait, no, hold on. Maybe I didn't. I think what I listened to was.
It's a pretty rough. It's a rough one.
Yeah, I know. I'll put that on for my next read.
It's the only it's rough in that it's not good. It's the only Horus Heresy novel that you have a point of view of a Primarch. So it's him telling these stories, and most of them are him just like screwing off and leaving his legion while he just like jetpacks around doing stupid things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then when he comes and finds his legion again, they're like, "Where were you, my lord?" And he's just like, I was busy."
He's literally just a teen full of angst flying around going,
"Yes,
I want to do other things."
Yeah.
Where's Dad going? Where's Dad going? I don't know. He's going to sulk somewhere about something or write a poem.
Yeah, he at one point tries to there's a forge world that goes to Horus, and he tries to take it back, and he ends up trying to do this whole counter revolution thing, because it's it's a world that hasn't fully committed to rebellion, so he tries to aid the loyalists, and yeah, he just spends most of the time just messing around on his own.
I think I remember that. That's the one where he's I want to say it's the Emperor's Children or the Word Bearers that are involved in the planet, but I do recall that's the book where it's the what's it called? Descent?
I think there's a few Word Bearers.
Deliverance Lost. That's it.
Yeah, that's the other Raven Guard. No, Korax is literally it's a book entirely about Korax.
Mm. Although,
and it's why the one Primarch that gets a book about them is
it's just his perspective.
Mostly
because he sulks and doesn't talk about his feelings to everybody, which he probably
but he talks in his inner monologue is him sulking. So you get the sulk anyways.
I don't want sad Batman. I really don't. It's I'd rather just him come up and go, "I'm Korax."
It's true. You know what? People often say the Kurz is and I have said the Kurz is Batman because he
Kurz
the two
is
of them
Batman.
are similar.
Kurz is just Batman if he decided to go the other direction.
Yeah.
Kurz is literally if Batman said, maybe if I kill the bad guys, they won't come back. This might be a good idea.
Right? So there's a degree of he's an edgelord and he's moody. But Kurz at least is there's a reason he's so messed up. Yeah.
Kurz does. Yeah, he does. Even though Kurz is a madman, Kurz makes a good point.
But Kurz also makes sense why he's crazy.
Exactly, he does. But even for being crazy, he does speak from a realm of truth. And this is probably just my inner Night Lord piping up because I like them. But he even said to Dorn, we're not freeing these people, we're subjugating them. The minute you turn your back on them, they will uprise against you and shoot you or stab you in the back. I'll prove that point. Bring that man over here. Gives him a gun. Shoot me right now. No? No one is to harm this man under any circumstances whatever. There you go. Shoot me. still no? Perhaps this will change your mind. And he turns his back to the man, and only then did the man find the courage to raise the gun and try to shoot Kurz. And Kurz, as he fires, it dinks off his armor, turns on, slices the man's head off, and within seconds he's in front of Doran going, "See, I was right, you were wrong, nah 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 nah."
See, there's at least some interest there. But yeah, I guess to go back to Horus and the whole, his progression into chaos is also very much, it happens very fast.
Yes. Well, with Horus, they needed to happen quick. He needed to be corrupted as quickly as possible and as soon as possible, because I'm pretty confident that even the Chaos Gods knew that if we don't get our claws into him quickly, he could break out of it, because it's Horus. He could still be reasoned with. He's still a smart individual. He hasn't quite given into us. The fact that we have stabbed him with the Anathame blade and infused him with more chaos and woken up some of that chaos energy, that's a good thing. But we still need to focus on him entirely. And you see through the Horus Heresy, he's from just the wounded Horus to the Warmaster to the Dark Master to a dude sitting in a throne room with these weird shadows flickering in the room while you're standing there having a conversation with him. You swear to God there's like beasts behind his throne. Suddenly they're not there, and shadows wisp around his body. He has a glow to his eyes. Energy like just seethes from his body, and then he wears that black obsidian plate given him by the Dark Mechanicus as an offering. And then it's just like, this isn't Horus. This is something else entirely. This is a monster.
Well, and I think part of it is like he very quickly gets a lot of the boons of chaos.
Very, very fast. Because he went to, what was it? I want to say Morak or Moloch. I can't remember the pronunciation. Moloch. He went there for that chaos gate that his dad went through, the same one. And I remember when the Marines were looking at him as he exited the gate, Horus for a split second looked like an old man. Gray of hair, long beard, and within seconds it all grew and faded away into the tall, powerful, strong Horus that he was. And I think, that in that time in the warp, they gave him every single boon they could probably give him.
Yeah. Well, and you can, like, whenever, not that he really fights that often, post Ascension, but he is like Demon Primarch level powerful.
Absolutely.
Without being a Demon Primarch. Like, he is all for Chaos God's champion.
Yeah, he's essentially Be'lakor. At that moment, he was Be'lakor without being a Demon Prince. Like, I would even think that he, fully amped up Horus would smack down Be'lakor. Honestly, yeah, I do think so.
Because the Chaos Gods withhold a little bit from Be'lakor because they don't like him.
Well,
they didn't withhold anything from Horus.
No, because Horus is a very willing pawn. Be'lakor had ambition. That's the worst thing they could have. That's why the Chaos Gods have never given another champion willingly all of their powers together, because of ambition. Once they realized they had him hook, line, and sinker, he didn't have much ambition to rise against them. He had the ambition to use them to bring down his father, which empowers the Chaos Gods. Yeah. Especially Tzeentch. Ambition. Loves that shit.
No, but yeah, so I think, like, Horus very quickly gets hooked on, because he's proud. He's probably one of the proudest Primarchs.
Oh, absolutely.
And is very much, assured of his martial prowess. I think early on there's kind of, I think part of the reason why, like, him and Fulgrim get along is that they can actually challenge each other.
Yep. I believe they regularly sparred together because the legions were so close for such a long time. And when they actually found Fulgrim, they had a few chances to spar. And I think Fulgrim almost knocked Horus on his ass a couple of times because he's relatively good, but Horus could still take the advantage and smack him around.
But I even think like you know in the Lord of the Rings at the Battle of Helm's Deep where like Gimli and Legolas are like chanting out the like their like tallies.
Yeah. 31,
like, I feel
32.
like Fulgrim,
that's Fulgrim
I
and
think
Horus.
Fulgrim and Horus had that type of a like friendly rivalry of like
absolutely 100%. I could see Horus. That only counts as one.
right.
Yeah, Fulgrim slides through with his blade, cuts like 6 orcs in half with one swing, slides back up, looks at Horus like, well, that only counts as one. I don't care how many I hit. Watch this.
It's true though. So that like that, you know, like Horus, but Horus likes that. Like Horus kind of
you know
like
the Primarchs having fun with their fights. They enjoy it.
Because even like most of the Primarchs don't really fight.
No, there's only there's only a few of them that actually have the martial prowess to be the best. Like, in all honesty, I really do believe that if it came toe-to-toe, blow-to-blow, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, the best out of all of them is the Lion. In single, one-on-one combat, the dude's a freaking beast.
I think it'd be if we talk like pre-chaos, I think the 4 that would be the scariest. You have Leman Russ, the Lion, Horus, Fulgrim, and I would put Ferrus Manus in there. Ferrus Manus was also a bit of a like beast in combat.
He was definitely a beast. Definitely, like Ferrus Manus.
Definitely, I don't think he wouldn't beat the other 4.
No,
but he was probably one of the only ones that had any.
It was Ferrus
Leman
Manus.
Russ and.
Leman Russ, that was one. Leman Russ, he's definitely a monster too. The only reason I put him on the bottom for my list is because finesse. He doesn't have the finesse and the skill. I feel like it's very much like what when I think of how the Lion would fight, I think of the book Trials of Azrael, when Azrael is fighting against Karn the Betrayer, and he posts himself up as Karn is running at him, full tilt, axe raised, ready to bring him down. Azrael waits, calms himself, waits till Karn commits to the strike entirely, and then sidesteps with a cool move, parries the attack, and slices into his midriff. And he keeps doing this over and over and over again. The Lion in single combat would pick one of his brothers apart, but if they got a
even
lucky
in
shot,
40k Lion versus Angron is literally Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali. Like it's like he just like takes it, you know, round after round from Angron. And this is why I didn't include Angron in there, is that Angron, if he didn't have the butchers, probably would be. But talk about no finesse. Leman Russ has some finesse compared to Angron.
Yeah.
Angron
definitely
is all strength, no handling.
Yeah, Angron's pure savagery. Like,
yeah.
Yes, Angron will most likely kill some of them, kill the Primarchs, but, well, Russ proved it. Even Russ, being the person that he is, he showed Angron that, yeah, you can kill me, but I can smartly lead you out of a situation where you're going to die too, or lead you to a situation where you're going to die. So who really wins in this? Who really wins? You or me?
But yeah, I think like, well, and the Lion is also, you know, one of those like 10 steps ahead guys.
Yeah.
In a way that like Rabute also is, but Rabute doesn't have the like just hand-to-hand prowess of like, again, against anything other than a Primarch. Yes, he wins that fight, but Primarch on Primarch. Well, I mean, Fulgrim almost killed him.
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying that if anything speaks of the GW lore and how they design their models, let's look at the majority of the characters they've put out for the past little while. Hero Rock, Hero Rock, Hero Rock, Hero Rock, and they're all posed with the sword up, hand out, leading their forces into battle. The Lion is the only model that's come out who has the pose of the look of a person that's like, I'm going to kill you. I am marching forward. My sword is low down in a ready position. I'm going to make you have the worst day possible. Look at the determination in my face right now.
It's true. He's even got, like, he's got the shield ready.
It's terrifying. That model, just looking at it, is just like, if you saw that coming towards you, that's scary.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. No, the lion is, well, the lion is one of the few Primarchs who also like goes toe to toe with like chaos monsters.
Yep.
Without power armor for like 100 years.
Yeah. Think about that. He's been fighting chaos longer than any of them, and he knows how to fight them with no power armor, with no extra gear, just backwater, steam age, medieval, punk-made weapons, and he's doing fine. You put him in a suit of armor with the Emperor's mega shield and the giant FU sword, like, come on. Didn't he slap? Isn't it canon in the lore right now that he slapped Angron around? I feel like that's canon right now.
Yeah, no, that's how they introduced the two of them in the Arcs of Omen thing. Is Angron like shows up on this planet that the lion is like trying to liberate from chaos. Yeah, and they have this whole like throne room battle, and that's what the lion just takes it like for like way too long, and then just waits for his opportunity and just like guts Angron.
Oh,
like he just like takes it over and over and over again.
He waits for the opportunity. Is like, I'm gonna win this in one shot. I will block and deflect and parry every attack you make at me, but I'm not gonna do anything until I see the perfect opportune moment. I see him being the kind of guy that would duck underneath a blow from Angron, use the flat of his sword, and slap Angron on the ass just to prove a point.
Well, you know what? To tie back to a recent episode that you were also chatting about, the lion has like Rylanor's level petty, loathing, hatred bullshit for all of his brothers, not all just the traitor ones. All of them,
last one of them.
He is nothing but disdain for all of his. And I guess to bring it back to Horus, I was gonna say this earlier. I think Horus is one of the only ones that could actually make the lion smile.
Yeah, he was. When it comes to the rest of them, you're right. Like, the lion is literally, he's the embodiment of piss and vinegar walking in a suit of armor.
Yeah. He's Rylanor with the virus, the life eater behind his back in every fight. He's just like, I don't care. I will kill you. I will end you. I will destroy you. And history will forget you.
Traitor, I will cut you down. If you prove me wrong, I will cut you down. His favorite thing is, I will cut you down.
Like Leman Russ might be the Emperor's executioner, but the lion is the executioner for Leman Russ.
Yeah, 100%. That fight already happened, and Leman Russ lost.
Yeah,
and they got punched in the face with lion. I do like that those two legions have that honorary duel every time they meet somewhere. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. And but again, like Horus was beloved enough that even the lion was like, he's not too bad.
Yeah. Like, if you can get on the lion's good side, that's some serious mojo that Horus was rocking. Like, everybody loved him. Even when everything was going down, they all were like, no, Horus would never do that. He would never turn against the Emperor. He's too loyal. He's his beloved son.
Well, I think even the Khan at one point, like, doesn't believe that Horus like turned traitor and like hunts down. Who does he hunt down? Kurz. Because they have their whole like the White Scars like hunt down the Night Lords to like figure out what's going on. And I think it's Kurz who tells him
that it's true.
That it's true, and then I think that's when he's like, well, I have to go talk to the Emperor about this.
Well, even like, what is it? Like, Garrow shows up on the moon of Titan, and he tells them something terrible has happened. Horus turned traitor, and Dorn imprisons him and the rest of them because he's like, "You're full of shit. You are full of absolute garbage right now. That is not true. We're gonna get to the bottom of this."
Right.
2 weeks later, opens the door bashfully. Okay, so he's a traitor. You can leave now.
You can go be a Grey Knight if you want.
We can leave now? Malkador wants to talk to you.
Right. Sorry, they weren't Grey Knights in the Heresy, but
No, the Knights Errant. I had some really favorite characters that died there. And I really want to know who the rest of them are. There's a Night Lord who I'm obsessed with. I want to know which one he is. I think it's Jago. I think it's Jago.
Really?
It has to be Jago.
Did I tell you about I'm working on a model for a Chaos Lord, and I'm doing the Silver Knight. So I got a Grey Knight Brother Captain model that I'm going to make into a Chaos Lord.
If you need any Slaaneshi bits, I have tons of extra little Slaaneshi things lying around.
I'm actually thinking. I actually am just gonna use paint him as a Grey Knight and just use some washes to give him some weird coloration, and that'll be the only real sign. I want to keep it very simple. I want when you look at him to be that's a weird looking Grey Knight, and that's it.
You know what? If he has a blade or something, have the tiniest little Slaanesh trinket hanging from a piece of green stuff and make it leather, but wrap it around his arm like a set of rosary beads, but make it flesh. And it's ever so subtle. They're not going to notice till they go, wait a minute. Is that flesh? Yes, it is. I love the idea of the Silver Knight, the one Grey Knight that made it to Slaanesh's palace, saw the prince, and even he couldn't resist bending the knee.
You know what? Okay, I wrote a short story because I love the concept of it, and you know what my headcanon for the Silver Knight is? He was an Emperor's Children. He gets to the demands of Slaanesh, and Slaanesh appears not as Slaanesh, but as the Emperor, and says, "My son, you've saved me, you've rescued me, you've found me within the depths of the realms of chaos. I have but one task left for you, to also rescue my son." And then Fulgrim walks out, and he falls to his knees in that automatic loyalty that Space Marines have. And then at that moment, his brain just breaks. And he's convinced that he's still serving the Emperor, but it's Slaanesh and Fulgrim just pulling the strings.
Yeah.
So he doesn't think he's fault. So it's this whole he thinks he's serving the Emperor, and that he vows himself to his father and his grandfather, but it's Slaanesh.
I love that. And you know what? With him not being that heavily corrupted and just having the very subtle marks of chaos, they could show up on the planet and the population would never know. Very similar to there's another Emperor's Legion warband that shows up on planets and they actually take care of the people. They would never see any of that coming because he looks just like a regular Marine. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah. That's like Alpha Legion vibes. Ooh.
But it's very much that I love the idea of it's he thinks he's serving the Emperor and that he's doing everything the Emperor has personally, because it's it would take him months to get through Slaanesh's realm. So he's broken, he's psychologically damaged.
Oh yeah, well, after all the tests you have to go through to get to that point, you got to be a hard soul to resist all those temptations. The 6 major circles of Slaanesh, it's an awful place.
Yeah, and and then you get to the end of it and you think you're saving the Emperor.
Yeah. Do you know about all of the circles of Slaanesh, the ones that you travel through?
You know what? They're actually, for an Astartes, not super compelling. Most of them are centered around food and sex and greed, which they don't care about.
I like the first one. No, they don't. That's why I feel like they get past the first 3 levels relatively easily.
Yeah.
But man, do I love the lore of the first level. the open roads of Slaanesh paved with gold and gems and like diamond stars that twinkle in the sky that you could just pluck out if you reached high enough, and you climbed the top of the trees to pluck them out, only to fall and crack your head open and die on the ground. But those who do not climb the trees simply pick the gold and the gems up off the ground and pile them into their pockets and keep going without a care in the world of letting them go. And they refuse to let them go until the very weight of the gold and gems they pick up bears them to the ground, and they just join the bones of the many others that have done the same as they did on their path. That's just like, damn,
dark.
That sounds awful. That's wow. Yeah. The other one is that realm where it's just peaceful, and if you stop for a moment, you'll get lost.
That one's later on. The next one is actually you come out of this like pasture.
Yep.
From like the ring of greed. And then into the next one, you arrive at a beach, and the water is wine. And there's an island out that you have to go through the wine to get to. And first the wine, it draws you to drink the wine and drink and drink and drink, and you can drown. So you have to not drink the wine.
Yep.
And you also like it prompts you to be like as thirsty as you've ever been.
Yeah.
And then you get to this island, and there's food stacked up on tables.
Yes.
And you're the hungriest you've ever been. And if you eat any of the food, then you start to realize that it's actually past victims, and then you actually like succumb onto the table. And you become part of the it's super messed up.
Now the next three layers I get mixed up. I know one of them is the realm where it's the realm of flesh and desire, where you're the demonettes try to draw you in. There's another one where you see your greatest desire, like people admiring you, being given awards and all that.
It's adoration.
Adoration. That's
like,
it.
It's whatever would make you feel, like your ego, basically. Whatever would pump your ego up the most.
And I think if you break out of that one, you find yourself in the land of just ash. Am I correct? Or is
that one's because after that is Serenity.
Right. So yes,
it's the peaceful forest that if you stop for even a moment, you'll fall asleep and you'll never wake up again.
Yes. Avarice is it's something that pulls you down and holds you and crushes you, isn't it?
No, that's part of the peaceful. If you look into the I think it's vanity. So if you look in any of the pools along this in this forest, you'll get sucked in.
Right. Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
And then there's finally the palace itself,
which is completely unguarded. So you just walk in.
Yeah. And every single thing that has ever walked there has never come back out.
Yeah. Other than the Silver Knight.
Yep. And he looks happy as hell.
That's what I mean. I like the idea that he's an Emperor's Children, because it's just like it's like his gene seed is, because that's all, but that's also part of it, is that like the Grey Knights are not all loyalists.
My personal lore, I like the idea that it's a Grey Knight that was determined to slay one of the gods or a greater demon because it did something, travels there, manages to get through, gets into the palace, and then it goes to a little cutscene, says 3 hours later, and he's walking out with a cigarette going, all right, I'll follow you. I'm down with this Slaanesh thing.
That's good too. That's good. It's good soup.
Yeah, real good soup. But yeah, our man Horus. Do you think that at any point in time there would have been a chance for him to, like, say if things didn't go down the way that they did, would there have been an opportunity for Horus to break that hold and come back from the dark side? Or was he just too far gone the entire time?
I think there is a point. Because part of Slaanesh specifically is you have to continue to be a willing participant. You always there always has to be an out with Slaanesh. So that alone would mean that Horus was always able to break away. But I think there is a point.
Yeah,
there's like a bit of after like murder and Moloch and everything. There is a point because there's something like in one of the books, I can't remember which one it is. It's almost like they kind of see the return of old Horus at one point.
Yeah.
And he gets kind of chummy again.
Oh, yes. He's getting sick. There's something wrong with him. And that's that. Yes, I do know what you're talking about. Something is going on with Horus and they can't figure out what's wrong with him. And that's the moment that Lorgar makes that call, like, he's weak. He's obviously not the God's champion. I should be their champion. Now is the time to overthrow Horus.
But I think the reason he's getting sick is he's doubting.
Yes, he is doubting.
Like part of it is that it's like there is that moment where he does actually teeter-totter, and he does kind of come back because during his decline he gets ornery and rude and kind of like crappy to his legion, and they start to notice. And then there is a point where like the Mournival is kind of like, oh, it feels like Horus is back.
Yeah,
it is that whole thing where he's getting sick, and he's like, but I don't think it's so much that he's getting sick. He's like the Chaos Gods are pulling away from him, almost as a test. It's because they want him to take him fully.
Yes, and it was a test. I remember that because one of his followers even said, "You must give in. Stop fighting it, and just give in to them." That's kind of like what Abaddon.
I think they push him to like the brink of like illness and then empower him. Like I think
that's why Abaddon is not fully giving in. He got to watch that happen. He knows that if I give in, that's what will happen to me.
Yeah.
If I take a single gift from them that mutates me in any way besides their marks and this sword, they will have full control over me. Because let's not forget, they didn't give him the sword. Abaddon didn't pick the sword. Drachnyan chose Abaddon. That blade allowed itself to be picked up by Abaddon. And that thing is
horrifying.
Non-canonically to all those out there, Drachnyan is the blade of the first murder. Technically, it's the blade of Cain and Abel. It was a demon that was forged from the very first murder ever committed by man. And after the Emperor couldn't defeat that entity, he locked it away in a blade and shoved it into the chest of one of his own custodies and told him to run into the webway. That custody still guarded that blade when Abaddon found it, and that blade chose Abaddon to wield that blade. In essence, Abaddon is the true representation in the 40K universe as Satan, for he holds the blade of the first murder. That's heavy. And on top of that, what that blade can do is just as scary as the name that it bears. It's just like the Emperor's blade. It cuts through time, it cuts through reality. When it kills something, it doesn't exist anymore. You don't die, you do not go to the warp, you don't go to heaven or hell, you are erased from existence as if you did not exist. What that sword that Rabute carries does to demons, Abaddon's sword will do to anything.
Yeah, because it's not limited to any particular...
Yep.
Like, I'm pretty sure Abaddon can use it to carve into the side of a Titan if he needs to. Like, there's no stopping him.
That blade, the Emperor couldn't defeat it. And Rabute is wielding the Emperor's sword. That says something. That says that sword that Abaddon wields is more powerful than the Emperor's blade and potentially could be the most powerful artifact in the entire 40K universe that can be wielded by a single man as a melee weapon.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a horrifying weapon.
Not even gets that. So
No, Horus didn't get that. No, not at all. It's like
probably would have gone very differently fighting the Emperor with Drachnyan, actually.
Yeah. And I think that's another play to Abaddon from a difference of Horus, how like how far he has come from his father. That blade is an entirely different entity from the Chaos Gods. It's not controlled by any of them. It doesn't belong to any of them. Draknayen is his own guy, his own thing within the warp. Just like there's many other demonic entities of lesser and greater things in the warp, just like, we now have Vashtor as an example.
I was about to say, he's almost like a Vashtor level.
Yeah, exactly.
Being.
He's definitely a Vashtor style being. Vashtor is an entity that was created by the idea of creation and destruction. Just the same, he was created by the first murder.
Well, if you think about how psychically powerful humanity is in the 41st millennium, and Draknayen is the embodiment of the human concept of murder.
Yep.
So you're literally you're closer actually to the Grim Reaper than you are to Satan, because Samus is Satan.
Yeah. You know what? I think you're definitely on the money there. You're definitely right about that.
You're literally the concept of death.
Yeah. Because when you really think about it, if that's the case with that blade, there's a reason why the Chaos Gods are not only vying for Abaddon to be their favorite, but they're also sending individuals to try and kill Abaddon at the same time. All the Chaos Gods want him to bend the knee to them and them alone. Be my champion. Be the champion of Khorne. Be the champion of Nurgle, Slaanesh, Tzeentch. Pick me. Forego the other two. You will not? Well, I know the power that you hold, so I will send other champions who will try to kill you and take your place as my champion. Because they know, just like Abaddon knows, that blade has the ability to kill them and the demons just as much as it has the ability to kill others.
What's even funnier about that, though, is all the champions of Chaos are also somewhat beholden to Abaddon because they're on his, war council.
Yep, he has the strongest ones, and then that's why he goes out of his way to make sure that any small insurgents that pop up that even try are crushed. Except for that one individual, and I know why he does not, Huron Blackheart of the Red Corsairs.
Doesn't he not really get in Abaddon's way, though?
They don't really get in each other's way, but Abaddon does know that Huron is just a usurper in waiting to take over Abaddon's place as Warmaster. He already thinks that he'd be a better Warmaster than Abaddon. You have a man from the Horus Heresy and a man from the Schisms and the what was it called? The Badab War. They both hold a force that it's massive in size. The Black Legion and the Red Corsairs forces rank in the thousands, probably larger than most of the legions were at their time. If they ever joined ranks, they would have probably one of the largest standing chaos armies known in existence and could strike a devastating blow to the Imperium. But it'll never happen because they're the worst of enemies, because they both know that they're trying to kill each other at the same time to take that position. And Huron wants it. He wants it. Abaddon said, Dylan, bend the knee. Show me your fealty. He still won't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Abaddon has almost been elevated to Primarch level power at this point, and Huron has not. So
I think he is. I think Abaddon's already there. He is definitely at Primarch level. At least, 9th edition one was.
Well, but even in the lore, he's bombing around with Vashtor. He's, giving the middle finger to every Chaos God he wants. I don't think, we talked about the Lion. I don't actually know if the Lion wins in a fight against Abaddon right now.
I don't think so. I don't think any of them would, to be honest. Rabute only got out of there because somebody else intervened. If he touches anybody with that blade, it's over. So
he does have the Emperor's Shield, which might protect him a bit.
He might, but knowing the style of the Lion in his, I'm going to take a bunch of hits and wait for my opportune moment, that's not going to work against Horus. Horus will be unrelenting, but also tactical. Abaddon will be unrelenting and tactical in his attacks. And also, Abaddon has 2 weapons. And
Abaddon
the gun.
Also has the speed of Slaanesh and
the strength
foresight
of
from Tzeentch, the endurance of Nurgle.
Yep. He has all that. And I can see him grabbing the sword as the lion swings it down, and grabbing that in his claw and smashing it in half with Draknayan, and then what? He's got a shield, and Abaddon has a claw, a machine gun on top, and a giant FU sword. I think now...
Draknayan also isn't limited to, like... It isn't a physical object in that same sense either.
Yeah.
Like, even if you disarm Abaddon, there's the potential it's just, like, he can resummon it.
Yeah,
we don't actually really know how Draknayan works.
No, it comes right back to him. We do know that Draknayan takes the form of what the wielder wants most, that fits their style. So for Abaddon, it took the form of a sword.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even, I wonder what happens with Primarch if the Talon of Horus. There's just so much hate in it. I wonder if it, like, absorbs some of their power.
I mean, it has to absorb something for it to have so much psychic energy emanating off of it for, like, even for Iskandar Khayan to not be able to stand within 20 feet of that thing. There's something attached to it, like something dark. Because that thing was made by the Dark Mechanicus. And we only can imagine what they put into that thing.
Maybe it just needs to pack man enough souls, and then Horus is reborn again.
I mean, it's the strongest.
Abaddon would be so bad.
It is. It's literally the strongest bolter out there right now. When Horus had it and Abaddon had it, like what bolters in the game are like strength 4. It's strength 5, -2, 2 damage, rapid fire. He can that thing's blowing a hole in the side of a rhino.
Yeah.
He literally has a double barrel grenade launcher on his wrist.
I mean, bolters have always been like underpowered in the game compared to the lore.
I know, it's sad.
It's like, oh, I have this automatic firing rocket-propelled grenade launcher.
And then they gave us AP1. And then they gave everybody AP1. And then they took AP1 away again. And now we're back at square one.
Yeah.
111.
Well, you know what? It used to make more sense in older editions.
Yeah, the AP that I used.
Yeah, because it was just you either if your AP beat them, then they didn't get an armor save at all.
Yeah.
So bolters back then were actually somewhat, they
were good. Yeah.
Infantry.
It was like cultists, gaunts, goblins, some of the orcs. If you had a 5-up or a 6-up save, you just didn't get a save. It made sense. You could actually have firing lines of space marines taking down hordes of Gribblies or like snotlings, orcs, guardsmen, traitor guard, whatever you wanted. Now, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time believing that a rocket-propelled round the size of a Red Bull can impacting on the chest. I don't care if it even explodes. You tell me you're a dude in a t-shirt, you're taking that to the chest like a champ? No.
No, they're standing near a bush, so they have.
Right. I forgot. Yes, the leaves dull the impact to from 500 tons to 400 tons. Completely forgot about that. T-shirts just glance off.
Talking about t-shirt saves, you want to know what one of my favorite combos for guard is?
What?
So you take a 20. So this is for 10th edition. You take a 20 block block of guardsmen.
Yep.
You put Akkadian command squad with them, so they're OC3 with a 6-up feel no pain.
Okay.
And then you put a sanctioned psyker in the squad because guard can have 2 leaders per squad, and that gives them on a 2-up they get a 4-up invuln in the shooting phase. So you have 20 guardsmen with a 6-up feel no pain and a 4-up invuln, and very little can kill them.
Ma'am, you go straight to hell.
And then you run 2 of those because the whole combo is I don't know, 220 points. So you have 52 bodies on the board that have a 4-up invuln.
That's horseshit. That is absolute horseshit. That's like the
and then for 2 CP, you can bring 20 of them back. They're not attached to leaders anymore, but you just bring them back.
I did come up with a similar thing. Did I tell you about the Accursed Cultist combo I found?
What?
You take a cursed cultist and maximum squads, and you put the dark communions with them, and they get to move, advance, and charge. +1 AP, +1 damage, rerolling hits, rerolling wounds.
Doesn't that also give them an invuln?
Yes, it does too. They get an invulnerable save of 4 up. That one only lasts for 1 turn, but still, that's good. That's really good. You pop that, they regenerate, they get across the battlefield, and then they're just really annoying to get rid of. But that sounds better. That sounds way better, in all honesty.
Because a full block of a Cursed Cultist is also 220 points now. And 20 Cadians. So they also sticky objectives.
How is that fair? Sticky objectives, a ranged weapon, and all that for that, but you get a cursed cultist that are just like running across the battlefield.
Guess what the Cadian command squad's ability is?
What?
You can ignore all modifiers. So if you have a Meltagun and you shoot the Avatar of Cain, they don't get their half damage.
For those who are listening at home, I'm breathing very heavily right now.
Oh no! I have so many guardsmen. I've been running them in 2 of those squads. So you have, like I said, you literally have 50 bodies. That I don't know. 4
Just
of
promise
them can
me
hold
when
an
you
objective
fire.
Because that's OC 12.
What? Just promise me one
OC 3
thing.
each.
Just promise me one thing. When they fire all their guns, you're making them yell for the dark gods.
No, they yell for the Emperor.
Right, I forgot. For the Emperor, tee.
But yeah, that's just a really fun body blocking combo, and it will make every. Because honestly, you know what a lot of armies really don't bring a lot of right now?
What?
Mass anti-infantry either. So when you're shooting las cannons at guardsmen with a 4-up invuln, it's just really stupid.
Everyone's rocking the tank and big gun meta right now, I assume.
A lot of that, yeah.
That's why you bring back hordes and go, I'm going to cover the battlefield and there's nothing you can do. You can fire your 6 las cannons, you'll kill 6 models a turn, I'll still have 60 in the back waiting.
Oh, I played a game not recently, a few months ago now, against a Tyranid player who brought 150 gaunts.
I love this.
And it was so much fun.
I love this.
It was so much, and I always have Lucius with 5 legionaries kills 20 gaunts. Just
absolutely,
bam, they're dead. But I bring a venom crawler. Like I bring enough stuff that I can still deal with mass. So it was just ridiculous. I think he brought, because they can also he was using the Tyranid detachment where you can bring them back.
Oh,
so I think I ended up killing
dirty.
250 models that game.
I love that.
Which is just, it's kind of just joy, to be honest with you. It was
I want to be a world leader doing that, because that sounds like joy. I just picked up 60 models in one round. It feels really good to do that. Didn't mean anything, but it feels great.
You got a couple noise marines, just blast masters, actually getting to just
we're doing really great today, man. I've killed 17 dudes already.
Right? They're just rocking out. No, that was a ton of fun. And it honestly, so talking about 10th maybe having some issues, the fact that you can play games like that though, and I think actually a list similar to that went, they came in 3rd at LVO.
Okay, that's impressive.
Because most Eldar lists and most Necron lists don't bring enough mass anti-infantry. So they just outbodied the Eldar. And honestly, 150 models on the table takes up the table.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen that. I've seen that exact same style of combo used with the back in the day when Poxwalkers were still the hot topic. Were you around for that one?
I played Kaylee's 60 Poxwalkers.
So yeah. Back in the day, they had an ability where when they killed the creature, they summoned them back as a Poxwalker. Well, they still have that. However, Death Guard had this beautiful stratagem that I love so much that said, anything that dies within 7 inches of a unit of Poxwalkers returns as a Poxwalker. So what did I do? I surrounded my Poxwalkers with cultists. And then I used Cloud of Flies on the Poxwalkers and hid everything else behind walls. So the only thing you could shoot was the Poxwalkers or my cultists. Oh wait, you can't shoot my Poxwalkers. So guess what? You shoot my cultists, they come back as zombies, and I stretch across the board and touch every objective and just clock the time. It was evil.
That is evil.
I got there was a guy that did it at a massive tournament, did really well. I tried and I was like, this is the most evil, maniacal shit I have ever come across. I'm not attacking, I'm not shooting. I can literally stand here and just run the clock if I wanted to. This is gross.
Yeah, but that's back when Poxwalkers only had one wound, right?
Yep, single wound.
So if you had the right tools, if you brought chain swords or just mass las guns, you would kill them all.
Yeah, you could. It took a long time, and what the individual did was, this was back when troop choices could be full 6 and you had no limit to what they were. So you would take 2 full squads of Poxwalkers, a 20 and a 20, and take 4 full squads of 40 cultists.
Oh, it's that's nonsensical.
Yeah. And then also remember this is the one other thing about the combo that made it extra disgusting. Because you could spread the Poxwalkers out like a freaking rotten tentacle and reach them enough to reach your enemy's units, then all you did was fire your 3 Plague Burst mortars at a unit that was close enough, killed them, and then activated the stratagem. And because it was activated on the Poxwalker unit, all those units that just got killed became Poxwalkers, and you stretched them into your opponent's backfield.
Ugh.
Your whole army, yeah, exactly. Your whole army was mortars, characters to boost the mortars, cultists, and Poxwalkers, and that's it. That's all it was. It was brilliant. It was disgusting. And it was beautiful.
It was disgustingly resilient.
Yes, it was disgustingly resilient. It was everything I wanted. I was literally playing an army of zombies in a sci-fi world. I was living it up. It was fantastic.
I miss when Warhammer was silly.
Yeah, I do too. You know
Bring
what?
back silly Hammer.
It'd be fun to go back and try it out sometime if we could find the books, have a game or 2.
I have a 5th and a 6th edition
play that
rule book. If we could track down I have a 4th edition Tau Codex, so I could at least do that.
I have the 7th edition rule book, and I have some books from, I think the earliest book I have is from 6th edition to 7th to 8th to 9th edition.
I know you can get the 4th or 5th edition Chaos Space Marine Codex online.
Oh,
so it would be possible.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a combination of combining different like, well, you know how we have 9th and 8th edition? Just sandwich all that together.
You know what 5th edition didn't have? Hull points. So you actually only could destroy vehicles on the vehicle damage chart.
Yep. That was the only way to do it.
Things like Land Raiders were like actually indestructible.
Unless you got lucky and got a bunch of glancing hits, or you actually got a penetrating hit.
Railguns.
Although it was extra funny when you did get that and it just destroyed the weapons and it just became a fish tin with nothing on it driving around the battlefield.
Yeah, but I mean, Land Raiders have so many guns on them, you'd have to do it so many times. Because you didn't destroy all the guns, you only destroyed one gun. No, literally the reason why I have so many hammerheads is because I played against a Dark Angels player who used to bring Land Raiders, and I found that offensive.
That is very offensive. Although, the one thing I kind of liked that I wish they kept, it was back in 5th, 6th, and 7th. You know how the sponsons move on the tanks?
Yes.
You know where I'm going with this, aren't you?
I do know where you're going with this. Firing arcs?
Yes, firing arcs. It doesn't make any sense. The thing shouldn't be
literally, the reason why Tau tanks are so good is because the guns hang underneath and above. So they actually don't have a fire. Their firing arc is 360 degrees.
Exactly.
So Tau tanks are actually one of the best tanks designs in the game. And they also have a sloped hull, so their front-facing armor was like started in the back, so it was really hard to get even a side hit on a hammerhead.
I remember that. I remember almost never getting side hits on hammerheads. It was the hardest thing to do. Yet Land Raiders and Rhinos, somehow you could perfectly pick that square side and go outside damage, or oh, there's the rear.
Right?
Bang.
Well, because they're longer, so they actually have huge side profiles.
For all those out here who have not played 5th edition, back in the day with vehicles, they had different types of armor on the front, sides, and back. And depending on the angle you shot from them, you got advantages based off the armor you hit. If you hit in the back, you were almost like guaranteed to destroy the vehicle.
Well, because your highest armor was 14.
Yeah, highest was 14, lowest was 10.
No. The other stuff was 9.
Yeah, the Sentinels, they were 9 or 8, like 8 or 9, I believe.
And so you would roll against the strength of a weapon. Back then, the highest strength was 10. So you to get a glance or a penetrating hit on a Land Raider, for example, you needed a 5 up if you had a strength 10 weapon. Anyways, what also mattered was fire. So you would actually have to position a vehicle so that it could actually shoot at things. So in the movement phase, where you placed, like what angle the vehicle ended at, mattered.
Yep, I remember that's why I didn't like Land Raiders so much, because of the fact that no matter where I put them, I couldn't maneuver the tank properly enough to make sure that every single one of my guns was going to hit. And I also got exploited a couple of times by someone who pointed out that technically, if I move within 4 inches of the front of your Land Raider, the only gun that can shoot me is the top sponson and your heavy bolter. Your las cannons can't actually target me because they have a straight arc and not an angle. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, you're a dick. I was like, you're a dick. Fine. And then he threw 4
that's why you have a
bombs
group of Terminators inside the Land Raider, and you just and they kill whatever's near them. What I was also going to say, those earlier editions, you also weren't allowed to pre-measure anything.
Yeah, you had to guess.
That was in the rules. You had to. That was part of one of the advantages. And then you would measure. So one of the advantages of playing Tau, for example, was, if you had a 36-inch range gun, you were generally in range. But trying to eyeball like an 18-inch gun,
or
you're like, oh, I think I'm in, and you were out, and you didn't get to pick a new target. You just missed.
Oh, yeah. Lots of depression is coming back right now. Lots of depressive moments.
It was very different skills. So if you could see distance on the table better, you were literally better at the game. I
had a few friends that were carpenters. They did extremely well. Extremely well. Like, my God, there was one of them, he could pick a friggin' 3 inches, like 17 feet away from the other. Like, yeah, it's about 3 inches, measure. Son of a bitch.
Right?
Yep.
You weren't allowed to measure charges either. You just had to declare them.
Yeah, you declare a charge and you hope for the best. Oh, you know what I don't miss? This might be controversial for some out there, but I don't miss pie plates at all. I
think there's a time and a place. Like, the old world has the pie plates.
Yes,
and I think it's specifically, it is a more complicated game that you expect to have that. But no, I fully agree that the pie plates, all you did was argue over them.
Yeah.
The pie plates weren't even that bad. The flamer templates.
That thing needs to. I want to snap that thing in half so bad.
I think it's 6. I think it's 7.
I think there's like
7 other flavors in this
guys. I'm gonna raise up like the entire squad. You have it like 6 feet off the table, dude. Bring it down. But like,
when somebody would roll scatter dice on the other end of the table and then try and be like, "Oh, it's going off in this direction," you're like, "Why didn't you roll it anywhere near what we were talking about?"
So many dirty moves. But the pie plates, I just hated them for my own terrible rolls. Back in the day when I got my first defiler, I loved defilers. They were awesome. I thought it was I got a giant robot crab. I'm gonna grab people, pinch them, and blast them. Every game. You know where I'm going with this. I mean, I'm not even joking. I'm not trying to make a joke. I'm not.
Would you scatter onto your own army?
Yes. Not even on my own army. On the freaking defiler. The defiler that fired the gun.
Onto itself.
Literally, I swear, every game he just went tick, 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 tick. Vertical shot, right back into the cannon and then blows up. That's literally what would happen. I'm just sitting there like...
That's bad.
Why? Why? It happened like 6 times and I shelved it. I was like, I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. It blows up every time from its own gun. The Havoc launcher and this thing hit it. Oh.
Bad luck.
Bad luck, bad pain. I missed.
That was one of the other advantages of railguns. It wasn't a blast template.
Oh, I know.
It was just a shot.
Yep.
So you just get a.
Everyone
it did have a submunition shot, which was also stupidly powerful. It would like rip Marines apart.
I remember just when I first got into the game, it was Tau and Eldar and nothing else.
Really? Because Tau when did you get in?
I got in near the tail end of 5th edition. I think I played like maybe, I want to say a couple months of 5th edition, and then it went into 6th edition. And maybe the meta where I was out here, but Tau and Eldar seemed to be ruling because other players were going like half melee, half shooting. They were two pure shooting armies that could dominate the battlefield. Especially Tau.
See, Tau didn't get a 5th edition codex, and most of their good stuff in their codex from 4th edition got broken by 5th edition's rules.
That is true.
So they were actually rough through most of 5th edition. So it's interesting that there was a bunch of Tau players you knew that were like cleaning house.
It was very surprising. It might have just been that I was bad and some of the others were, but yeah, there was a few Tau players out there that were actually relatively decent. And then the new editions came.
I am realizing how long we've been talking, and I feel like we have not talked about Horus in almost half an hour.
Probably,
but this has been this is a classic Chaos Divided tangent. We
absolutely we stay on track, and then we just go off onto a beautiful tangent into the realm of 40k and chaos, and talk about all the glorious things that we love. Which, you know, I'm sure people love hearing that too.
I hope so. I mean, at this point, we've done so many episodes. If you've come for a coherent and well-delivered script, you are at the wrong podcast.
Yes. Organization and how it's going to go down here is craziness and madness. Hope you're ready for it. It's wonderful.
You can almost call it chaos.
Yes. Divided. Oh.
Any last thoughts?
What is your favorite Primarch, everybody out there? Leave a comment. Which one's your favorite?
I'll make that the question. Why.
Yeah. Tell us why they're your favorite Primarch and what made you fall in love with them. And I'd leave that as my final comment.
Who's your favorite Primarch?
Do I have to say it?
Okay, maybe, who are your 2 favorite Primarchs?
Okay, if that's a little better. Okay, so obviously Angron is at the top. If let me see. Gun to my head, Kurz. Yeah. I like Kurz. I like his story. I like where he came from. I like what he stands for in the way of not the murder and the scalping part, but the idea that fear can be used as a weapon. Fear is a powerful tool, and he knew how to wield it. He was the only Primarch, from what I understand in my readings, that all they had to do was notify the system of their approach, and they capitulated. They didn't want to fight them. Others, they would, wait. But if the Night Lords were sent, people gave up immediately.
Well, I think that they spent a lot of time in the Great Crusade kind of getting like ping-ponged around of like, oh, we think this is going to be a difficult compliance. Send the Night Lords.
Exactly. And they made sure their reputation was well known.
Psychological warfare.
I still go back to that story. I will never be able to remember the planet's name, but the Night Lords show up, the planet attacks, they destroy one ship, they're really excited, they hold a parade, and what they don't know is that ship had already boarded another ship and started chucking the flayed corpses of the crew onto the populace, and within hours the entire system had surrendered, and they didn't even set foot on the planet. That's baller. That's like...
Yeah.
That's the... I don't even like... I don't know what euphemism to use to describe that, because that's hard as hell. We didn't even let step on the planet. What did you do? You had to land. You had to put drop pods down. We just did this.
Just showed up.
Yeah. We just showed up. Anyway.
That's fair.
What would your two favorite Primarchs be?
Fulgrim and the Khan.
Good choices.
Fulgrim is such an interesting tale of like, potential to disappointment. And I think the Emperor's Children are very much a cautionary tale in like why you don't create super soldiers.
Yeah,
They're
right.
both the best and the worst of that potential like concept. But then they're embodied in the same, they are both the best and the worst. And I think that's an interesting idea. And then I actually, at one point, I actually bought one of those random novellas for the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
And it was Brotherhood of the Storm, which was at the time, it was the only book about the White Scars. Because White Scars get very little time in the Horus Heresy. And I remember reading it and just falling in love with the Khan. Just everything about, everything we've talked about today about, Horus, the Khan also embodied. But much quieter, much more modestly. There wasn't the ego, there wasn't the pride, but there was the respect.
If you asked any one of his brothers, they would not be able to tell you much about the Khan.
No, because he kept everything to his chest.
He liked it that way. He reminds me of...
he gets into a fight with Fulgrim at one point.
Yes.
They have a little
verbal thing go back and forth, and he says to Fulgrim, if you cross blades with me, I would leave you choking. Yeah.
And Fulgrim's just how could you know that? And basically the Khan's just well, I know everything about you and you know nothing about me.
Yeah. You shout your accomplishments from the mountaintop, brother, but you know nothing about me and my ways. And I promise you that if we ever cross blades, I would leave you choking. And he gets really bristly about that. Their dynamic, I feel, it's very similar to Ned Stark and Jaime Lannister in a very much style. Jaime Lannister is Fulgrim, where the Khan is Ned Stark. And even there's that same comment in the show Game of Thrones where he says, "You're not going to spar?" He goes, "I like when my opponents don't know what I'm capable of."
It's true.
Yeah.
And even just the way the White Scars function, the way they go to war is so different. They're a very interesting legion, very interesting chapter. The Khan is just
they're Mongols, man.
They're so measured. Cool. Yeah, but he's also he's a philosopher king. Literally.
Yes.
The Khan is a philosopher, he's a poet, and he encourages his legionaries to do the same. The Khan is both this guarded, absolutely terrifying warrior who also tries to see the beauty in the world around him. And I think that's he's one of the few Primarchs that actually seem people often say Vulcan is the most humanist Primarch, which I would say that Vulcan cares the most about humanity, but the Khan
is the most
human. Yeah.
He's the most in touch with the human spirit and what it means to be human. Because I know that Khan above all believes that you should be free to ride and enjoy life.
Like where Fulgrim realizes that by being a Primarch, he's lost so much and he can't handle it.
Yeah.
The Khan acknowledges that he has lost his humanity by being a Primarch, but doesn't let that hold him back from still trying to better himself as a human. Like he knows that there's things that he will never have, and that there's parts of him that are missing because of what he is, and he doesn't lose himself to that, which is, I think, very interesting.
Yeah,
he's a cool character.
The
White Scars are definitely underrated. As
I used to think they were awful until I started to learn more about them, and I have a healthy respect for the White Scars quite a bit.
They're probably the only loyalist chapter I would ever collect.
Just the paint scheme prevents me from doing that, but you are right, I would do that too.
You know what? I'm actually slowly falling in love with painting white.
I don't want
to. My Warriors of Chaos are white, and I'm actually really enjoying it.
I'm sorry for the making several faces, everyone. But to me, it sounds painful. Painting white and yellow are painful.
I mean, it's not perfectly white.
If I had to choose, I'd probably go with a colder white, like start with a cream, wash with a blue, and then fill it in with like a pure white. But that I don't know how much more I would be able to do with that. They would just look I'm trying to grasp me painting an entirely just like pearlescent white armored marine on them. It's like to me, they don't look done. They need something on them.
That's fair. Well, I think that's what you see a lot of Grimdark White Scars, I think, for that reason.
Yeah, I think the Grimdark White Scar looks amazing. The white armor, the weathered, the more red motifs added to the armor, the scars add a little bit yellow. That's really nice. I love battle damage on the Marines. Even I
think you see the same reason for White Tau. People do the same thing, just to draw to give it contrast. But yeah, those are my two answers. Hopefully everyone will put some answers out there, and in the meantime, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to Chaos Divided wherever you're listening from, and you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at Chaos Divided 40K. If you're a fan of what we're doing, you want to join our growing Wholesome Hammer community, you can find us at patreon.com/Chaos Divided 40K and support the show. And if you'd like to connect with your hosts directly, it's at Team Bloodgod and at Blushing Noise Marine. And you know what? Give Nurgle Snurgle some love. Find her at Nurgle_Snurgle. And you can find us all on Instagram and YouTube. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Hit the jazz music!